I share it out stuff.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We're live.
Okay, yeah, we're live.
Let's edit that out for the.
Yeah, because we can do that on the live now. Hi, everybody. This is Carin and Marcia, and we are so excited to have Jhéanell joining us for the Convos Continued. On our podcast episode this week, we talked about visibility. So we're doing like a small business September focus, and we talked about increasing your personal economy through entrepreneurship in our first episode for this series. Then we talked about like infusing you into your business. So like really showing up as your authentic self and like who you really are, making sure your business is representing you. And with that, you have to be visible. So that was our next topic that we talked about today. And so we asked Jhéanell to join us for Convos Continued because she's someone we both love and we both have worked with. And she is like so super visible. So we want to pick her brain and get all the tips about how she maintains that visibility, like how it came to be in the first place. Like, did you have a strategy? Was it kind of just something that flowed? And just all the good things. So Marcia, you want to miss anything?
No, but I did like this is like, I want to know, Jhéanell, when it happened, because I came into your world via Carin into your Facebook community, and you painted such a beautiful picture and you were always in there. And like, so, but I don't know what happened before I came into your world. Like, when did you start on this path? And I know you do share this regularly, but like, can you give us like, you know, like kind of like a year by year timeline? And if there was like a huge like kick in the pants that was like, okay, like we got to do this, or like, was it a coach? Was it tell us all the things we want to know.
Okay.
All the things.
So I am presently, so I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. So I do have several things going on at once, but my main business, my full-time business is the AstroHive, and that is essentially an astrology-centered life coaching space where I help women using their astrological blueprint to identify and activate their soul's mission. That way I can help them to create massive growth in their personal and professional lives. And I got into, I've always been into astrology in a way. But like most people, it was like, you know, just reading like the little horoscopes and magazines and trying to see if like you and your boyfriend are going to stay together forever, like that kind of thing. And then once I got to my late 20s, I was having this moment where I was like, who am I really? All I've done is have kids and be married, and there's things I want to do, and I'm not sure what's happening. And it just kind of felt like the sky was falling. And then I remember that there was this term in astrology called the Saturn return. And so I started diving into that. And that's essentially like an identity crisis in a way, because you're like really coming into who you are. And so I like dove in deep into that. And then I was just like, oh yeah, astrology is this whole thing. And then I just totally went down the rabbit hole, studied all the things. And my North Node was the thing that kind of unlocked a lot of my transition here, which is why I'm so passionate about it, why I have the North Node program. And everyone's like, astrology, what's my sun sign? I'm like, shut up about that. Let's talk about your North Node.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's kind of how I got here. And then what really changed the game for me, because I was very nervous about coming out of the spiritual closet, if you will. So like the first couple months, I kind of like tiptoed. And then eventually I was like, you know what, like I'm totally going to do this. And I understand that in order for me to do that, people have to see me as an expert in this area. And what really changed the game for me, honestly, was live streaming. And so for the past 2 years or so, I have been live streaming regularly. And that's the thing that has really catapulted my business to where it is today.
Yeah. It's because you're stunning, obviously, but also that knowledge, having that expert knowledge. So when was that? It was 2 years ago that you started doing the live streaming, and was it on Facebook or that was?
Yeah, I want to say live streaming regularly, probably like end of 2017-ish. I think 2018 was when I came up with the Astro Tarot concept. And so Astro Tarot is when I do the just general card pulls for each and every zodiac sign, because that challenged me to show up every day, because I knew I had to, you know, deliver that message. So yeah, 2018, I would say I really got consistent with that.
Okay. And did that just come to you intuitively that you were like, oh, I should do these cards? Or were you like, I need, because Carin and our trio, Kim and we all did like this 38 or 28 day challenge on Instagram. So it's getting us to engage regularly. So like for you, was it an intuitive hit, or was it something that?
It was a combination of both. I think I realized that I did have to get out there regularly, and I was just trying to figure out how to do that, because I didn't have a coach at the time. So it was just kind of like, well, what can I do? And then the Astro Tarot idea just kind of popped into my head. And I know that sounds like, oh my God, but that's really like how I operate.
I believe all that stuff. We can call it like downloads or getting like a God wink, or basically anything that puts us like on the next stair, you know, on the path. And yeah, so that doesn't sound weird to me at all.
Yeah.
And again, you know, I'm pretty weird, so.
You're my people.
Yes, we are each other's people. I love it. Okay, Carin, I've asked my
question. No. So when you were like starting to get visible and like doing the live streams and everything, were there like any blocks that came up? Like, how did you work through like any of the like mindset things that were like, you know, nobody wants to hear this, or, you know, you're doing too much, or this isn't the right thing, you know, all that stuff that happens when we start coming out and like, I'm here.
Yeah. So for me, it was a couple of things. Number one, I'm actually pretty shy. So I was very nervous about getting on camera and speaking. I was like, my voice sounds weird. I say too much. I say like too much, you know, just totally criticizing the way how I speak when I would hear myself back. And then on top of it, it was oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm this like weirdo person because I'm talking about astrology and all those things. So there was a lot happening. And I feel like that's where coaching really came in handy for me, because it was like, ma'am, like this is a part of, you know, the reason why you're here, and you want to do this because you want to help people. So it's either you show up and help the people who need the message that you're spreading or need the solution that you're providing, or you can just, you know, like that's really like the only two choices. That's really it. So I would just always have to remind myself of that. It's, you know, am I going to allow what I think people think about me to silence me? And am I going to allow myself to be so critical of myself that I don't help the people I need to help? Or am I just going to journal about what I'm thinking and feeling and being a creep when I like, you know, have messages for people and then I'm just like on their pages, like, did they do it yet? Is it happening? You know, it really just comes down to that. It's like, are you going to help the people you're here to help or no?
Yeah, and we talked about that on the podcast episode. Like, it's not about you, it's about them. And it's like when you're getting visible, it feels so vulnerable. It feels like it's all about you, right? You have to share your stories and you have to show up as the expert and you have to have the good advice and whatever it might be. But it's not, you're doing that for them, not for yourself. And so when you kind of take yourself out of it and just be like, it doesn't matter. Like your hair can be a mess. Like my hair is braided. I didn't feel like taking it out. So I was like, I'm just gonna throw the turban on. And I was like, whatever, like, it's not a big deal. Like you don't have to be perfect and polished and, you know, and I totally am there with you. I say, I didn't even know you could say, like 50 times in 10 minutes. I'm like, that's like, is that a record? Yeah, it's like, but I was like, whatever, like I'm getting my message out there and hopefully I get better as time goes on. But like you just kind of have to get over it. It literally is, that's what it comes down to. Like, just
and it does become easier after a while. Like, you know, I definitely don't get as nervous these days as I did 2 years ago. Now it's just like, no one cares. Like they're just here to get the message that they need anyway. They don't care how many times I say
all these users just trying to get our free cookies. No, I'm just kidding. Because I do know that you do have like your VIP days and you have your group programs. And that is the point that Carin and I were trying to share with this episode, is that when you get visible, people get to know you as a person, you as a business person, and then they're like, oh, like I love getting this information from these ladies, but I would really love to share my life with them and then have them
Absolutely.
help me with what it is I'm struggling with. And
Yeah.
that's what we did. And
So it's funny you mentioned that, because the latest person that signed up with a VIP day with me, and I'm a high ticket girl, so my VIP days are not, like a $20 situation. They're a couple $1,000s. And she told me that she signed up with me because she loves watching my Instagram stories and she can tell that I'm a real person. And so in Instagram stories, I don't look like this. Like I was telling the ladies before we got on here, I'm like, I'm a mom, I'm homeschooling, I'm like very much like homemaker. So on my Instagram stories, I am in, my head wrap. I'm not in makeup. I have on a t-shirt. I'm at the stove. I'm chasing the kids around. I'm tired. And that's why she booked me. Like,
I get it, because
I love that.
no, but she understands the magic of you, because like you can switch that quick and be
Right.
able to have the answers that she needs. Like you can be doing the mom thing. And that's why people hire women, is because we know how to get stuff done, and get it done right the first time, because we don't have the time and energy to like, spin out.
Right.
And I love that. But I actually noticed that because I was in your Facebook group, and then we became Facebook friends, and that was like a big deal anyway. And then I recently just started following you on Instagram, and I noticed that like you are, and I'm the same way too with my charm connector. Like that's where I'm sharing stuff about, I don't really share my kids because, big brother, but like I share stuff like, the dog and personal stuff. But I like that. I like having that differentiation, because then people get like kind of an inside peek into your home and you as a person, and they see the multifaceted person that you are, and then the business stuff, they can just get that on one page. So was that intentional, or do you just have more fun on Instagram? Like,
I think I probably do just have more fun on Instagram, because
it's fun.
I feel like it's just more of a creative space, and I love video. Obviously, it just works really great for me. But I would say I do have a separate page for AstroHive, and then I have my personal page, which is still like a mixture of like both anyway, because those worlds just collide for me. Like, when I'm sharing my stories, I might be at the computer, but then my kids might be on the floor next to me, doing their schoolwork, or I'm, putting them to bed so I can get something done at night, or whatever the case may be. So it's very much like seeing like the real juggle of being a wife and a mom and being a businesswoman all at the same time. And I am like so family centered. So a lot of it is really not even business. Like my personal page is not that much business. It's like me, my husband, my kids, me going to my mom's house, my mom saying really inappropriate things.
Oh, I love your mom. I love your mom. She is.
Yeah, everyone loves my mom. Yeah. Like
you can hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, I call her my problem child, because she's just, she's out of control. So it's like that's really what they're seeing. And then it's like, oh well, what does she actually do for a living? And it's like, I don't really know what that is, but I like her. So I'm just gonna book it, and I'm gonna figure it out. And I just know that she's good at what she does. So we'll work it out later. Yeah.
That's kind of that though, because that is like what people want. Like they just want you, like the real person, because all that, like when people try to give you the highlight reel, and I mean, yes, nobody's posting like their seriously dark and terrible stuff on the internet, because hopefully they're not doing that. But for the most part, like just be yourself. Like being visible, you don't have to really overthink it or do too much to create something. Like you're just, I think it's Gary Vee maybe that said it, like document, don't create. Like just kind of bring people along for the ride, for the journey, like as things are happening in life, and your normal day to day. Like you don't have to create like a whole schedule of I'm going to do this and this and because I personally, that just doesn't work for me. When I try to do schedules,
I'm a documenter anyway. Like, and I was like that before social media. Like I was like I'm the friend that has like all the throwback pictures, because I always had my little digital camera. And then like when my parents got like a camcorder, like I would literally have like the camcorder all the time. So like taking pictures and videos, like that's just what I like to do for fun anyway. Like I've just always been this way. So social media is just like, I guess my evolved version of just, 10-year-old me, because I've just always been like this.
I love social media for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, it's just a creative outlet, and you can do, because what you were sharing yesterday or the day before was just like your closet organization, and it's like, ladies love that, right? I was like, ooh, let me look at all, because you're like, this top box has the organizer part. And but like you can do the overlays, and it's like it's just a creative, that's why I spend a lot of time in Canva. Like I hired a virtual assistant, and it's hard for me to give up some of those things, because I'm like, but this is when my brain goes fuzzy and I get to move stuff, and it's like super fun, but it's like, that's not where I should be spending my time and energy right now in this season. But the things that feed you and give you that energy to do the other things. So do you, okay, 2 years ago you started doing the live streaming. Are you intentionally putting yourself in in growth type situations to become more visible, like public speaking, or like have you reached a level where you feel like you need to push out more, or do you feel like it's just been an incremental, like, how do you feel about like where you are in your...
I feel like it's been incremental, but I've definitely been open to doing things like this. Because as I said, like I'm actually really shy. And so for a really long time, like my mentors would be like, you need to pitch podcasts and you need to do that. I'm like, nobody wants to talk to me and I don't want to get on there. And
Jhéanell, you need to be everywhere. Everybody wants to, you have like the most generous spirit. And when I did that money mogul session, it was like for my 5-year anniversary, I was like, I'm going to treat myself to this. And that chart, like I've watched it a few times, and like you weren't like, you're just so generous with the information and your gift. And I think that I mean, yeah, like if you're willing and able, like let's freaking do it. Like,
now I'm like, it's interesting because in the past couple months, I've really opened up myself to it. And then it's just been like, hey, do you want to guest post in my program? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? I actually got a side gig coaching monthly in one of my mentors programs right now. So, and just, different things like this show have come up. So just even me saying to myself, I'm available for expansion in whatever ways it happens has just allowed the right, situations to show up in my life without me having to like, hit the pavement too hard. So, I'm all about that. Like, let me just get energetically aligned. And
you put the light out and it comes back, like you draw it in. And I love that, because it's like, it's effortless. And that's kind of why I wanted to see if you intentionally do stuff, but you're more like on a subconscious level, like I'm ready for this, send it my way and I'll receive it. So this has been something I've grappled with since I got into it in 2013 with my blog. I don't like sharing stuff about other people, like personal stuff, like my family situation, that kind of thing. I just focus on what I can, like my perception on stuff. Do you think there's visibility that can be negative? Like, because I mean, we know like there are people doing the highlight reel and behind the scenes, they're like, hitting their kids or whatever, but it's like, they're like, it's like with visibility, I feel like you're very authentic, but are there things you would do? Carin, where am I going with this? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
A good example like that I think of is like Rachel and her husband, Rachel Hollis, the author. She has like this big platform,
right?
Super, super visible, millions of followers. And like, I feel like there was an image that they were representing together. And then so earlier this year, when they announced that they were like separating, that was like such a shock, right? Because we felt like we were invited in because she's so visible. So is her soon to be ex-husband, I don't know. And so like you felt like you were like a part of their lives almost. They were doing like I think they had like a daily live or something, like just all this stuff together and sharing so much about their life and their children and everything that they're doing. They run their business together. And so like then to say that they were separating to get divorced, like it felt like it came out of nowhere as an audience and a part of their audience or whatever. So it's like, I felt like that almost was a negative to being so visible, because if you're gonna be sharing, like it just didn't feel real. Like I felt like everything I had been watching then for the past, I mean, however long they say they've been struggling was a lie, because you weren't sharing that part. You were projecting a different image. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I definitely have boundaries about what I share, which is interesting. I saw this meme the other day and it was like, about people who have like mastered sharing a lot, but like still keeping a lot private. Like one of the things I don't really talk about much, I don't talk about my husband much. I don't talk about marriage much. Like I might, share like silly things like with my kids and, if they're, driving me nuts with school or something, but I really like, y'all have never seen me be like, my husband is getting on my nerves today, or we argue, but like, I don't, like, I'm super private about that. Like, yeah, I post pictures of him every once in a while, like his birthday. But for the most part, like, I definitely have areas of my life where I'm just not open to sharing that much. And that's okay with me. Because I don't feel like you have to share every single thing about yourself in order to be authentic. I think if it makes sense, if you're comfortable with it, number one, and it's authentic to who you are, and maybe even like when you're thinking about what kind of business you have and what kinds of clients you're looking to attract and things like that, if it all makes sense and you're comfortable, that's fine. But I feel like it's okay, like, to keep some things to yourself. And I feel like it's also okay if you perhaps shared one area of your life and all of a sudden you don't feel comfortable with that anymore. Just stop. Like, I don't, but I know for me, I don't really know how to be anyone but myself. So I don't know how to put on, I'm not a good actress. I'm a horrible liar. My face tells on me all the time. So for me, I just share what I'm comfortable with. Like, I also have seasons where like I'm like, nobody needs to see my kids. Like, I'll have seasons where I go through that too. And I'll be honest, I've even been thinking about that too. I'm like, my kids are getting older. Do they actually, do they want me sharing things like that? Maybe I don't need to do that. So I'll say for me, like, there is like a evaluation that like happens every so often. But I don't even know how to pretend or like set up like, I don't know how to do it. First of all, my kids will be like, nope, we're not taking this picture. My husband's like, I'm not doing that either. Bye. And then,
Yeah,
I like it because it sounds like you have your own defined boundaries and they fluctuate. And that's the same with my husband. He doesn't like, I don't bring my family into it because they're not the ones that have chosen this lifestyle. My husband is a private person. He's a man of few words, and I try to not make, I mean, I really make him feel awkward very often, but not in a public sense, like, but it's the same thing with the kids. Cause I've even like done stories where I'll be sure, cause I feel like I'm a storyteller, but I'll be doing an Instagram story where I'll be saying something and the kids will hear me and they'll say, that doesn't really sound nice what you're saying. And I'm like, oh shit. Cause if it's about them, then I'm like, I don't ever want to put anything out there that they're gonna, because it's, even though they're young and I'm their guardian, it's like, it creates a, I don't know, like I think maybe a mistrust or so. Yeah. I like that. Cause I do worry about that with visibility where it's like, people feeling like it has to be all or none, because you can just show certain parts of it, but still be authentic. And it's more of the super tailored stuff, where it's the basically stock images, but there's powder or flour on the, I don't even, that's, yeah. So.
First of all, my family's not even that cooperative, so I don't even have like, I'm the only woman here, so I'm totally
same. Yeah, we are
severely outnumbered. Yeah. And like when these boys don't like, they don't want to get dressed up all the time and do like pose, like they don't want to do that. They want to go, you know, play outside or, you know, whatever. But we do have, there was a skincare company that I started years ago, and we're relaunching it this summer, and it's my husband and I together. So likely with that brand, you all might see him a little bit more. But he's definitely not going to be sharing anything about himself. Like he's just not that kind of person, but he does understand that there is like a level of visibility required. But like, you know, it's like thinking about like live streams and different things that we can do. And I'm just fully prepared for him to just sit down next to me and not say anything. And you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah. I think with visibility, like it's a tough subject. So if it's hard on you, like trying to force it on someone else, you know, like that's
yeah. I'm already out here anyway. Like
right.
you have time to kind of come out when you're however you feel comfortable or whatever the case may be.
Right. Yeah, I love that.
Thank you. Well, this has been awesome. We're so thankful that you came on with us. And I tagged Jhéanell's page in the description, so definitely check her out. She's always sharing the best stuff. And like Marcia mentioned about her natal chart reading, I refer back to my video all the time because I'm like, wait, what did she say about me? Is this? I even try to like write like all of it down, but it was too much. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to rewatch it. So like I have bookmarks of what part was where that I can reference. Like it was the best investment because it told me so much about myself. And like I can work with that versus like against myself. Like I know what, you know, sort of like my strengths, and I'm like, okay, so, and it's awesome. So check her out. She's always sharing awesome stuff, and her programs are coming up and things that she's doing. You just want to be watching that. So
yeah, and don't mention your sun sign or Jhéanell will come for you. She wants to hear about your north node, and that is it. And if you don't know where it is, have her find it for you, okay?
No, we really need to talk. If all you know is your zodiac sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Jhéanell.
This was amazing. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.